Well, hello, my name is Jeffrey Liu, and today I'll be your tour guide at the solo exhibition of ZHU JINSHI at the Fusion Arts Center. Welcome, come in. The Fusion Arts Center is a non-profit art space located in the middle of Beijing. It's about a 5-minute walk from the Forbidden City. The Fusion Arts Center is also in a 四合院. 四合院s are basically a courtyard that has buildings on all 4 sides. But what's special about a Beijing 四合院 is how it finds tranquility in a city full of chaos. As you might be able to hear, there's practically no sound except for the water flowing outside. So, I have another surprise for you that's quite different from other Beijing 四合院s. Come with me. Welcome to a full view of the Fusion Arts Center. So, as you can see, there's a pond in the middle, which is not normal for other 四合院s located in Beijing. This takes inspiration from the Suzhou style. The pond acts like a mirror, reflecting not only the sun and the sky, but also the rocks, the plants, and the buildings around us. This whole space took about 10 years to restore, so there was a lot of effort that went into what we see today. But when we think of an art space, this is quite different from what we might expect. Compared to the white wall spaces, the intense colors and the classical architecture might take away from artworks displayed here. But with this exhibition, ZHU JINSHI is able to work in tandem with the architecture to elevate both his work and the buildings around us. Also, the curation of this exhibition is important. The curator wanted to show a harmony between man and nature, which is an important Chinese philosophy. We'll see more of this later throughout the exhibition. Welcome to the East Wing Room. Here I would like to introduce an installation by ZHU JINSHI. ZHU JINSHI's works can be separated into 2 types, installations and paintings. The work here is named Landscape Plan. It is a literal translation from the Chinese title 山水岸. ZHU JINSHI was in Germany from 1986 to 1994. This work was created right after he came back in 1995. So during the 1990s, installation was not that mature yet in China. There were no curators willing to set up exhibitions for installations, and there were no materials to create with. So ZHU JINSHI took it into his own hands and created with everyday materials. What we see here is a kitchen folding table and some kitchen brooms and water and flour inside. He also staged this installation in his own apartment. But sadly, after the exhibition, the work was destroyed. So what we see here is a reproduction of the original work from 1995. When we see the oil paintings later, we can also see how it connects with installations of ZHU JINSHI. The oil paintings are sometimes considered also a relief. They have very sculptural elements to it. We'll see more of that later. The first painting I would like to introduce to you guys is called Where the Wujiang River Is. It was painted back in 2007. The painting takes inspiration from a historic tragedy. The story goes, Xiang Yu and his enemy declare war on each other for the power of the throne. Xiang Yu's wife at the time, Yu Ji, they were madly in love. Yu Ji followed Xiang Yu wherever he went. She would also be the one to put on a battle cape before every battle. So during one of the battles, Xiang Yu and his army was entrapped by the enemy. Yu Ji felt helpless. She also felt like she was a burden to Xiang Yu, so she wanted to do something. She took a sword and performed a dance in front of Xiang Yu. After the dance, she committed suicide. But before she died, she told Xiang Yu to break free of the encirclement and make it out alive. As the battle went on, Xiang Yu was pushed to the edge of the Wujiang River. There, he felt hopeless and embarrassed. He could not make true of the promise he had told Yu Ji. So he took the same sword Yuji committed suicide with and did the same to himself. This painting depicts this terrible, tragic story. We see how the bold one stroke of blue represents the heroic spirit of Xiangyu, while also depicting the turbulent Wujiang River. The orange, on the other hand, represents the romantic love Xiangyu and Yuji had for each other. But when both blue and orange is mixed together, it gives this kind of melancholic feeling. This painting is also a prime example of the thick oil painting method famous to ZHU JINSHI. Usually when a painting is done, it is fixed. There's no more change to it. But with thick oil paint method, change happens throughout time. The first change that happens is the texture of the paint. We see how wrinkles start to appear throughout the surface of the painting. I would like to think of it as a snakeskin. The second change that happens is the color change. Usually painters would mix colors on a palette, but ZHU JINSHI does something different. He takes the colors and mixes it on the canvas itself. So by doing this, over time, the layers of colors start to come in and out of each other. We see this effect happening in this painting. The placement of this painting by the window is also very fascinating. We see how the movement of the painting contrasts with the tranquility of the window frames. This is very different from the usual art spaces that we would see. Also, viewing this work from the round window over here, we see how the light from outside makes the snakeskin wrinkle starts to shimmer. That is something really pretty to experience in person. Now, follow me to the opposite side of where the Wujiang River is, where we see a completely different work. This work is called The Aesthetics of the Unforeseen 2, painted in 2018. So, upon first view, we see how different this work was to the previous where the Wujiang River is. The Aesthetics of the Unforeseen 2 has colors a lot more fresh. There's a sense of lightness to it. It reminds me of a spring day where the leaves start to grow and everything starts to blossom. There's also a naiveness to this painting I think that is important. Naive and romance are important characteristics of an ancient Chinese scholar. The painting here also shows the sculptural elements of a ZHU JINSHI painting. We see how blocks of paint are utilized on top of each other to create shadows. They seem 3D and in and out of the canvas as it goes. If we were to turn off the artificial lights, you would see how natural light reflecting from the pond casts shimmers onto the painting. And if it was windy outside, ripples would appear and waves of light would be shown onto the painting. This is an example of the unity of man and nature that the curator uses throughout the exhibition. The natural tools and natural scenes are all incorporated into the exhibition so that to enhance the viewer's experience. So here we see another full view of the ZHU at Fusion Art Center. I think the rhythm of the architecture can be really seen now. The curves of the ceiling and the woodwork is all very interesting and fun to look at. Now we also see the next painting I want to talk about, a triptych work named Initial Thought, painted in 2017. But from here we mainly see the color blue. The blue blends in with the colors of the sky, but also contrasts with the architecture's darker tone. Now, if we go closer, I think we'll experience another different view. Let's do it. Now that we're closer to this painting, we can see how blue is not the main color anymore. There's splashes of white, purple, and green throughout the painting. I think this is really interesting because we forget about how blue it really is. Instead, we start to focus on the other colors, which brings a sense of sadness to the whole painting, don't you think? Now, I also want to show you guys this pair of smaller paintings, which I think is really cute. This pair of painting is named Double Blue, taken from the Chinese title Shuanglan. Zhu Jinshi created this painting in quarantine back in March. I think these paintings are like little totems of emotions. They're so small and easy to give to friends and family. So I think this will make a really good present when holiday season comes. Now follow me to the final painting of this exhibition, which is really different from what we see here. Finally, I would like to show you guys the biggest work in this exhibition, Losing Babby, painted in 2015. Now the Babby mentioned in the title is not a Barbie doll, but rather a shepherd dog that has been following Zhu Jinshi for years. Babby was an extremely loyal and brave dog, but he could not be left alone. So one day, Zhu Jinshi went on a road trip and tied Babby to a rope. He provided food and water and a place for the dog to sleep. But to Zhu Jinshi's surprise, when he came back home, Babby had chewed through the ropes and ran away. After that, Zhu Jinshi never saw Babby ever again. So this work shows the joy and vitality of Babby. Zhu Jinshi wanted the colors to come out to the viewers and for them to feel the joy that Babby had brought him. Sunlight is the light source for this painting. It is important to note that sunlight is another creator in Zhu Jinshi's paintings. Usually oil paintings are not to be put under sunlight. That could potentially damage the painting itself. But with Zhu Jinshi's painting, sunlight dries out the paint and creates the wrinkles that we saw in other paintings. So hopefully in the future, with time, we would see another completely different work presented in front of us. Thank you guys so much for coming along with me today. I really hope you enjoyed the solo exhibition of Zhu Jinshi at the Fusion Arts Center. Sadly, I couldn't show you every single piece of the show, but hopefully in the near future you can visit yourself in Beijing. For now, stay safe and goodbye!